It's a blessing for us to come into your homes or wherever you may call your space to share with you the Word of God again. We thank you for the time that you've taken to view us week after week. And we pray that the blessings of God will be upon you and your family. We ask that you invite someone. Let them know that Choices is on. Stay tuned. God bless you.
Last week we had a very spirited discussion on the whole issue of violence in our society in relation to the murders, in relation to what we've been seeing in the family, and we actually tried to discuss some ways in which we could attempt to curb this scourge that we've seen in our society. Central to our discussion was the collaboration between the home, the school, and the community in terms of tackling what we've been seeing frontally. We recognize that if parents understand their roles and recognize that the children that are given to them, they are really gifts from God, and therefore they should be trained, they should be taught, they should not be abandoned, they should be treated, honorably. If people recognize also that the institutions and organizations in society, those institutions and organizations, they have a role to play in supporting what the home is doing and not contradicting what the home is doing. And we believe that when all these elements, the school, teachers look out for children, look for the different signs that will say that this child has the propensity to become violent, to do wrong things, bring it to the attention of the parents and to those who might be responsible. We believe when there is a collaborative effort with these three components, we will see change, and we really need to promote that kind of attitude in our society. Gentlemen.
David's advice was amplified when he said to his son, "Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not reject the counsel or your mother's teaching." It's amazing that in Proverbs 1, he had insight of the modern family. So both parents are equipped with authority. They can function interchangeably. If they are functioning together, it's very powerful, and therefore one could expect a higher level of efficiency, and the product will be much better off. So there's a role for the father's instruction and also the mother's teaching. These words are described, they're like a garland of grace on your head and a gold chain around your neck. And now we have powerful modern day advice. Young people want to prove something. Some young men, some young women want to prove something. Hear the advice of the counsel of the word. If sinners entice you, do not be persuaded. The King James said, consent thou not. What this scripture is really saying is not if, this might happen, this may not happen. It will happen. And when they entice you, you don't know what enticement will come. Do not consent. Very few men are tempted at the level where they offer flattery, money, and fame. Very few. Most temptations they come in a singular vein. It might be a temptation to become famous, or to get money, or somebody flatter you, you feel. But whenever you have all three, it's pretty tough. If sinners entice you, do not agree. And this is to all the young men. You and women, you might be at home, things are rough, but that does not mean you will forget the teaching of your mother, and the instruction of your father, and the advice of your uncle, and the advice of your Sunday school teacher, and the advice of your scout leader, and the advice of your coach, and the advice of your teacher and your head teacher. It's amazing. Do not in the face of all those temptations, hold fast to those values that were placed within you.
And you know, some of the challenges might be you hearing these instructions coming from right in the home. And you as an individual, you want to make your own choice. So you say, it's my friend. You know, how can you tell me who I should associate with? It's because we're seeing things that you are seeing yet. It's because we understand situations before. Because we would have encountered some of these same things and we're trying to prevent you from getting involved in it. So listening to the instructions is not because we don't like your friends. It's because you recognize that if you continue associating with them, you're liable to run into a whole lot of problems.
You know, some children say to their parents, you talking because you got a mouth. You know, you talk, you like talk, you know.
Yeah.
And hear the concreteness of Solomon's advice, the specificity of his advice. If they say, come with us, now this is like modern day, let us set an ambush and kill someone. You know, in my mind, 30 years ago, do you think somebody could come and tell you that? Young people are being told that right now. And you know what? Some young people are going in this direction. If they say, come with us, let us set an ambush and kill someone. Let's attack some innocent person just for fun. Let's swallow them alive like Sheol, still healthy as they go down to the pit. We will find all kinds of valuable property and fill our houses with plunder. Let's go and do this thing, you know. Throw your lot with us and we'll all share our money by if we go on this thing here. We can share the money, you know. And my son, hear the counsel. The scenario is presented. You know, the son saying, it's dark, you like dark, and hear the parent saying, if you have these different offers, my son, don't travel that road with them or set foot on their path, because their feet run toward trouble and they hurry to commit murder. It is foolish to spread a net where any bird can see it. If a bird has got that sense, how could, you know, to see a net and to stay away from it? How in the name of heavens, some young people, knowing that there's a net, but you are, like one man said to a woman said to me, beautiful young woman, I am HIV positive pastor. I'm 25 years old. There's this 18-year-old boy pursuing me. So I said to her, tell him your status. And she told him, and this is what he said, honey, I can walk between the raindrops.
You know, sorry. Decision making, I think years ago someone said to me, you know, decision making or exhibiting the choice that might be available to you. The person said it is a skill. And I said, decision making, it's a skill. He said, yes, it's a skill. And as you continue to grow and develop, you begin to recognize, you know, why the person said it is a skill. Because there, like you read there, Bishop, there are always scenarios before you. You know, there are several scenarios before you. And the whole, and that's why even at all levels you find people can't make decisions because they have not mastered the skill. They're always waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. And if you're in that kind of position, you're in a bad place because people will actually, you know, draw you into foolishness. So at some point in time, you have to be able to reason. These are the actions, yes, or the scenarios, but what are the consequences? Just like how you go and we share up the money, you have to ask yourself, what if we get caught? Yeah. What if we do not succeed in this venture? What might be the results? And so
I walk between the raindrops.
People need to start reasoning again.
The Word of God encourages this submission to authority, not because of the wrath that the authority might have, but also it says here in Romans 13, it says, but also because of your conscience. Well, I can ask a question, what happened to conscience? We have a old saying, that something eat out the conscience. But conscience is a very important thing because it brings out the inner part of your being. Internally, there's a decision in you that should propel you to right doing.
My son, consistently, Solomon heard those words from his father. In the Jewish manner of raising children, at the age of 12, it was extremely significant for the child. As a matter of fact, so significant that an entire ceremony was held. Why? Because that child was moving from childhood into adolescence. And they thought within their culture it was necessary that a child benefit from a coach. So as they are moving into adult life, learning about adult life, they were also being coached in regards to the responsibilities that were necessary and the issues that they're going to face and how they should navigate through those issues they're going to face. And so I find as David is talking to his son, I can hear him saying, "Yo man, these are the issues you're going to face. But when you face these issues, don't go in this direction. Because if you go in this direction, this is what is going to happen. If you go in the other direction, this is what is going to happen." And so I believe that our young people, or we as young people, still need to benefit from that coach. We like it or don't like it, it's an opportunity to help us navigate the issues of life. Yes, we have choices to make. Yes, even after a while, Bishop, for example, is my coach. He won't be there all the time, so there comes a time when you have to make choices on your own. But what I found is the instructions.
What I like about that, Pastor Son, is the confidence in which the coach assumed that he did his job. Because in that same context, I think if I remember well, the father actually went to the temple at that particular age and renounced this child as I having responsibility over this child. This child now have responsibility to keep the law. And so the father was confident. I mean, you can't, because if that child starts to do wrong things, you know what? It reflects the failure of the father. And the Jews did not tolerate that kind of failure. So they did their roles to the best of their abilities.
The next thing is, that is important. We're coming back to the home again. Several years ago, February 27, 1995, this is a report that came out from the U.S. News and World Report. It stated this, and I quote, "More than virtually any other factor, a biological father present in the family will determine a child's success or happiness." I look at Jacob. Jacob was not the perfect, he was not the ideal father. Jacob was a treacherous old man. But Jacob taught his sons an amazing principle. And I believe if fathers can apply this over the family, they would have done well. He spoke blessings through words, over every one of his children. And whatever words he spoke over their lives came to pass. For example, he spoke words, powerful words over Joseph. Whatever he spoke, Joseph lived it out. Same thing with Judah. The bottom line is that we as fathers and fathers out there, we have to be careful of the kind of words that we are speaking into the life of our children, because the way some fathers would speak into the children's life, the reason why their sons and their daughters might be what they are today is because the father, they had a lot to play with that, because of the words of negativity, not words of affirmation, but words that always will pull them down and allow them to have very low self-esteem about themselves.
We have to instill in our children that there is inner desire to do what is right permit me to revisit this word of conscience. A simple, ordinary dictionary meaning is an inner feeling of voice viewed as acting as a guide to the rightness or wrongness of one's behavior. So whenever the coach does his job, the coach, he don't go to the middle and play. It's up to the batsman, putting it in cricketing language, whether he would go fishing outside the off stump or what. He must be able to make that judgment. And I'm saying to young people, I'm saying to parents, have role plays in your homes. Give scenarios and see what kind of answers will come out. And you will be able to build on what is happening around you. That is my...
Right now I think that we have discipline locked down in a box. And lawlessness taking over.
What's the box?
You know? But we need now to open that box and let discipline appear again. And things would be better. You know, Master?
I'm hearing you as a coach, a former coach.
What are you saying, a former?
Not a former coach.
Well, a coach. A coach. You continue to coach from the sideline now. When I used to play football, you as a coach, you come into the arena, you sound your voice, and I became kind of scared because you said to us, this is the instruction, you must carry it out. Now, why we must carry out the instruction? Because you give it, but you are the coach. And every time you give us an instruction, you say demonstration, 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 and then you said do it. We need to get back to the place where parents demonstrate what is expected. Now hear this. David said, my son. Every time he addressed his son, he said, my son. That's relationship. He never said the little boy or the boy. He said, my son. So if a child is hearing that, my son, from his father, it means that there is ownership or relationship. And he tends to listen instead of hearing, I don't know who you be, you're not a part of me, and all those kind of things. So in coaching, watch your language.
You know, I many years ago, I was at Timeri airport waiting on someone to come, and a gentleman who, I think he was a lieutenant colonel then, he's now a general, General Lovell, Brigadier General. He had a set of soldiers with him, early morning drill or run or whatever you call it, fitness exercise. And he had those guys and they were punishing, you know. He had them on the car park, and he said to them, every time he gave a command, I heard him consistently say to them, looking for a demonstration. So, words to that effect, right?
Yes.
Looking for demonstration. Then he gave the demonstration. And then he said, let's work on it. And some of the guys were lying flat on their stomach. And this guy continued to provide leadership. You know, in our homes, our children may embarrass us. They may run afoul of not just our laws, but the laws of the land. Are they still our children?
Absolutely.
They're still our children. And we have to keep fighting for them. Through the time of pain. And this is where I agree with Reverend Dooley Chan when he said early on, the father has got that role to bless. But you see, so many fathers are not there to even validate, much less bless their offspring. So this brings the church into play, the priests, the pastors into play, the leaders in whatever religious movement you're in, who will now have that duty to bless that child. You know, it's amazing. From independent to God took care of the widows, the orphans, and also the fatherless. And he reminded a whole generation, You must always take care of the fatherless. This is what Hillary Clinton said on June the 14th, and I quote, "Our country's future depends on healthy kids and loving families. They're the building blocks of a strong and prosperous society," unquote. It's amazing, a global voice. But we have a universal voice coming, global voice, the Word of God, saying virtually the same thing. We need a healthy environment and we need healthy children. Why? And children need to be the product of loving families. We can jump high, jump low. It begins and it ends right there. We need to have loving families. Therefore, it behoves the powers that be to set standards and to encourage loving and healthy family lifestyle. We need to have parks, not just one national park. You know, a big scheme like Diamond, all these massive housing areas that we have, commendable. Play fields, parks, the lighter side, where people can go and walk and meditate. One of the reasons why young people can't hear conscience, because they're hearing voices in their head. They're hearing, help me with somebody, they're hearing Gaza, they're hearing Golly God, might be the same person, just name. You know, they're hearing all these different voices. And they always have something, you notice, they always have something plugged into the ears, or covering the ears. They can't hear conscience. When they are not, they don't have something plugged in. When they are not plugged in, the music is so deafening. There's no, quiet is not appreciated anymore in our nation. And if we're going to have a safe future, we need to invest, just like how we invested in houses, we need to build parks. Real parks, well manicured, and then we have to have people take them, take care of them. We need lakes all over again. We need we're not really relying on central government to do all these things. They have a role to play, but the communities, the NDCs must step up to the plate, and let's bring a holistic view to life.
Bishop, it is you I heard, I think, recently, who made this observation that if we don't take care of our children, if we don't invest in our children, then they're going to be run down in the streets, because there are forces out there that are recruiting our young people, evil forces attempting to buy over our young people. So it is incumbent on the state, incumbent on the community, incumbent on the family, that we make valid investment in our children so that they will be able to live a productive and fruitful life.
Might I suggest to you that you can start right in your homes to ensure on a daily basis that there is simple devotions in your homes. Call the children around and build a family altar and discuss the Word of God here, because it is only the Word of God that can turn their ears to discipline and command them to return from iniquity.
You know, one person said illustrations, I think, they're windows to the soul. And I like what you've said there. And so we need to see, these kinds of behaviors being exhibited in the home, where there is a love for God again, where persons read the Word, they pray. And not only that, but parents, act out those roles and become models to their children. Because sometimes when you look at and you see what the father is doing, what the mother might be doing, it might be contradictory to what we might be asking children to become. And so we need to act out those roles and model those roles before our children so that they can grasp it.
Every day, children are hearing all kinds of voices. But are they tuned in to hear wisdom?
Sure.
Wisdom is calling. Wisdom calls. Wisdom has never stopped from the foundation of the earth. Here's Solomon. Wisdom calls out in the street. Wisdom is in the street. Right where the run-ins are taking place. Wisdom, she raises her voice in the public squares. She cries out above the commotion. She speaks at the entrance of the city gates. How long, foolish ones, will you love ignorance? How long will you mockers enjoy mocking, and you fools hate knowledge? If you respond to my warning, then I will pour out my spirit on you and teach you my words. I know some of you are afraid of Jesus, but embrace wisdom. You say, boy, I don't like the name at all. Listen to me, embrace wisdom. Since I call out and you refuse, extended my hand and no one paid attention, since you neglected all my counsel and did not accept my correction, I in turn will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when trouble and stress overcome you. Listen, we don't have to go down that road. Wisdom says, wisdom is calling in the streets right now. Every time you get a call to commission something that is wrong, wisdom is saying, yoo-hoo, don't do it.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yes.
But our ears are so attuned to hear only what is wrong and testable. We are not hearing wisdom. Parents, community workers, social workers, nurses, police officers, all the other professionals, politicians, please, wisdom is calling. If we are going to be able to engage the future, as Solomon said, we need to embrace wisdom. Wisdom is not courted by money or fame. Wisdom is right now, right where you are, wisdom is calling you.
Yes.
Right where you're seeing this program, would you embrace wisdom? God bless you. We'll see you next week.
You can join us at First Assembly for any of our regular weekly services. I am Celestia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.